Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 14 of season 2 of the F1 2019 Haas Road to Glory career. But today we're here for the Australian Grand Prix, for the Italian Grand Prix even, I should say. I'm really looking forward to coming into this one because two more big engine upgrades going on the car. You know, we are really building up some momentum at the moment once again. And obviously after the fantastic race last time, that was the Belgian Grand Prix, I would highly recommend going back and checking that out if you haven't already. You know, we came into this one with very high hopes there. More upgrades on the car, and you can see now 2 engine upgrades as well means that we have now got the best engine in Formula 1. We're ahead of Williams, we're ahead of Renault now at last. It's taken us a good sort of 2/3 of the season, but we've gone from the worst engine in Formula 1 right the way to the very best. And what a track to come to with a good solid engine here. You can see we're still struggling on the aero and the chassis, but engine is absolutely everything at Monza, as I'm sure you guys are all well aware as well here. So hopefully this could be a good sign once again. You can see in the field spread, it's starting to sort of spread out a little bit. You know, we are closing up to Mercedes, trying to bridge that gap at the moment there. But yeah, still a long way to go before we are fighting for race victories here. But let's jump on then. It's time for the Italian Grand Prix.
The pit lane will be open shortly, which means it's nearly time for qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix here in Monza. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
Top speed is a key factor for this circuit. Even if you can achieve the same lap time as someone running less wing than you, chances are you'll find overtaking difficult if you have too much drag.
So here we are then at a very historic Monza circuit. And like I said, coming into this one with good, good confidence, good motivation, and everything like that. Obviously, the podium last time out at the Belgian Grand Prix, although certainly lucky, the strategy really did play into our hands. It really did give us a bit of that confidence boost as we head in towards the home, even the Festival of Speed here, I should say, at the Italian Grand Prix. Because the end of Q1, we had already gone P6 and gone better than Kimi Räikkönen's lap record from F1 at 2018. I think that'd be an average speed of about 165 miles an hour around at this circuit. But yeah, still, nonetheless, there was plenty more time to be fined. As we head on towards the end of Q2, though, you can see Q1 was pretty easy going for ourselves now. We really should be getting at Q1 pretty much every time now in this series. We were right on board then for my Q2 lap. You can see at the moment we're down on 1 minute 19.157 there and almost 220 miles an hour without the help of slipstream coming down in towards turn 1 there. Don't quite get the run off the exit of the first chicane. You can see getting a little bit more wheel spin than I would have liked there, and unfortunately that just wasn't quite going to give us the run through in towards sector 2 there, through Curva Grande there. See, I don't know Monza corner names, unfortunately, still nonetheless there. Over the next couple of corners, though, you can see getting a nice run there, a bit of snap and wheel spin though once again on the exit, but really get the car launched through the corners, but it's just trying to get the drive off the exit there. Through the first Lesmo though, you can see make a big chunk of time on my previous lap there, and now as we head through Ascari towards the end of the lap, still struggling with the oversteer on the exit of the corners there. You can see we're now up to 2/10 up though over my previous lap here, and we're down in P11 at this late stage of the session here. Where are we going to go as we head now down in towards Parabolica, final corner of the lap here? Are we going to be able to get the run a little bit of a loss of time through the final corner there as we're in a bit deep there, but it's going to be a 1 minute 9, I think a 1 minute 18.993 there at the end of the session, but it's only P11 at the end of the Australian Grand Prix qualifying there, and that is gutting once again there. I think that's what, the second week in a row we've qualified P11 in this series. They just missed out 2/10 to Max Verstappen at the end of qualifying there. We were a bit of no man's land, 2/10 off Max, 2/10 ahead of the Williams cars there, but P11 ready for the Italian Grand Prix there. We've hopefully, obviously with the fresh tyres, we're certainly going to be able to try and have a bit of a look in this race nonetheless there. Hopefully, fresh tyres, everything like that should really give us a bit of a helping hand in the early stages of this Grand Prix. But let's cut the talking. It's time for the Italian Grand Prix.
It's race day here in Italy once again. Monza, home to so many records. The smallest winning margin, for example. Do you remember in 1971, Peter Gethin beat Ronnie Peterson to the line by 1/100th of a second. There were 40 overtakes for the lead alone in 1965, and Kimi Räikkönen clocked a record top speed of 230 miles per hour here, just over a decade ago. So there's a lot to live up to then for all of our drivers today. With top speeds up to 215 miles per hour and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. That was a great podium in the last race, so can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Vettel, Max Verstappen and Butler, Weber, Mr. Monaco, Norris and George Russell, Sainz, Grosjean, Valtteri Bottas and Raikkonen, Perez. They've taken a grid penalty. Albon, Nico Hülkenberg and Antonio Giovinazzi. Stroll and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching.
So here we are then, ready for the Italian Grand Prix, and as you can see on the grid, a fairly simple one-stop strategy, softs onto a set of mediums throughout the entirety of this race. Very much looking forward to this one nonetheless. But let's dive in then. We're ready for round 14 of the season here at the Italian Grand Prix. The 5 lights are coming on now, and it is finally lights out, and away we get going there. Once again, a very, very long hold on the grid. This time around, again, just not quite getting the start that we really need there. A bit of wheel spin as we head down towards Turn 1 means the Williams are going to be able to fly past me there. Down in towards Turn 1 though. Norris, you can see both of them getting very, very sideways there, down in towards Turn 1 as we go for a huge, huge send there. Actually gets squeezed out by Lucas Weber on the exit of the corner there, and that's going to potentially give Lando Norris a bit of a chance back up the inside. But yeah, complete lock-up on the front tyres as we headed down in towards Turn 1. Was obviously quite surprised we managed to keep that one pointing in the right direction. You know, that could have easily been half the front wing gone, you know, span off someone else's side pod, anything like that. But luckily we have kept it going, and you can see as we head now down in through Sector 2 here, everyone just trying to space out. You can see, I think that's Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton have both been able to build up quite a breakaway in just the opening half a lap here, and obviously getting that 1 second margin is so critical in a racetrack like Monza, obviously, where everywhere is just slipstream. And on F1 2018, F1 2019 even, sorry, I should say, the slipstream is very, very powerful, you know, especially with the DRS as well, you know, that you can gain so much time relative to the AI there. As you can see, coming down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 1 though, this is almost like oval racing. Gasly and Verstappen side by side there. Weber pulls out just in front of me. Luckily we bailed out of that one as Lando Norris gets a nice invitation up the inside through Parabolica there. But yeah, this is just like oval racing at the moment there. The slipstream train, the Sebastian Vettel, I think they're now 3 wide just up the road there. 215 miles an hour as we head down in towards Turn 1, 216, 217 maybe. There's everyone just tries to slot into position. We go to the outside of Norris and Lucas Weber as we head through the first couple of corners there, giving the squeeze on the exit of the corner, you know, a repeat of what happened last lap, you know, just giving back what he gave to me last time around there. You can see now Verstappen and Devon Butler going side by side as we head up in towards the that's obviously Curva Grande. Is this one the Retifilio chicane, or is that the first one? I'm not 100% sure there. It's through the second chicane we go once again, trying to make sure that we get the car nice and tidy on the exit there. And Lucas Weber thinks about having a look up the inside in towards the first Lesmo there. Bails out of it even very, very late, even I should say. But yeah, still we do hold on to P7 as we head down the back straightaway here on lap 2. One of what used to be obviously the highest speed places on this circuit, you know, now with DRS, everything like that, you know, most places around this Monza circuit now with the new spec cars, you can basically max out pretty much anywhere here. As you can see, Gasly and Butler side by side as we head out of Ascari there. I think we've got Weber as well trying to look up the inside perhaps. We go 3 wide down in towards Parabolica here. You can see Butler just holds on around the outside. We dip a wheel out over the grass there. That's going to give Gasly to run around the outside there. And a big save for him there. And you can see now Charles Leclerc, Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel here have all been able to make a bit of a breakaway as we now head on to lap 3 here to the outside of Gasly as we head now down in towards turn 1 once again here. Who's going to come out on top? We are slightly ahead in towards the corner and Gasly doesn't think about trying to keep the nose up the inside there. So we now move ourselves up into P5 of this Grand Prix. So we've made good progress in the opening couple of laps here, but Devon Butler now is, starting to try and build up a little bit of a margin. We want to try and latch on with him relative than focusing on the cars behind here. But over the next couple of laps, so you can see Devon Butler still just in front of me here. And really, as we've been able to get back up towards him, this Haas car, with obviously the setup and everything, probably the quickest car in raw straight line speed here. So it really just meant that even without the DRS, a lot of drivers could just hang on to me, with their DRS. It basically just meant, we could try and bring people like Gasly and Verstappen back up towards Butler there as we get around the outside through the first couple of corners and now up into P4 of this Grand Prix. And obviously we had such a good result last time at the Belgian Grand Prix. This time here in Italy, perhaps this could be down a little bit more just to the pace of the car. Obviously it's a bit of a weird and wonderful track in that sense, but we're certainly going to try and capitalise if we possibly can here. Lap 6 now, you can see Hamilton and Vettel going side by side through the first couple of corners as Charles Leclerc has just absolutely romped off in the early stages of this Grand Prix. He is still yet to win a race in Season 2 here. We've had, 7 different winners in the opening 13 races here. Could Charles Leclerc potentially make it the 8th here today? We'll have to weigh it and find out here. As you can see, we're just taking so much time out of Seb and Lewis here, as obviously they try to go side by side at the moment in towards the chicanes there. Towards the end of lap 6 now, you can see Vettel trying to look up the inside in towards Ascari. He locks up, squeezes it both wide as we have to go fully on the anchors to try and not run into the back of Hamilton and pick up some front wing damage there as we try to get a run on the exit of Ascari nonetheless there. And yes, Seb really not too sure what that was all about there, rounding outside of Hamilton as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of that lap though. But on the inside, is Hamilton going to get the run? No, he gives me the room around the outside that doesn't squeeze me out. I'm quite surprised by that one there. And we now move ourselves up into P3 of this Grand Prix here, and we're still making really good progress at the moment here. But Sebastian Vettel, that Ferrari car, probably one of the others that can match us down the straightaways nonetheless. There is now Devon Butler's been able to follow me through. He's now going to try and look up the inside, potentially up onto the podium places here. And Renault, after a horrendous race last time out of the Belgian Grand Prix, they really need to get some redemption here today there. As you can see, coming down in towards turn 1 and turn 2, we've got yellow flags out, and I think that was actually one of the Williams of George Russell, unfortunately, falling to the wayside. Yeah, one of the Williams even, yeah, I should say, George Russell falling to the wayside in this Grand Prix. End of lap 8 though, Devon Butler gets down the inside in towards Parabolica there, and he now moves himself up into the final podium playing position here. And I think back-to-back podiums in this series will certainly be something to write home about so far after a very, very rough season nonetheless in the Haas Road to Glory there. See, back at the inside there, we've got 4 cars now. Everyone trying to pounce there. Hamilton latest on the brakes there. We do slide the car back up the inside, try to give him the room around the outside. He takes a lot of curb and then not too sure what that's all about from Lewis Hamilton. He tries to give me the squeeze on the exit of the corner there. Verstappen around the outside as well there. He's going to try and follow him through as everyone just starts to trip over each other here as we head through the first couple of corners of lap 9 here. Already a third of the way through this Grand Prix. Verstappen there a little bit early on the brakes down in towards the chicane. We tried to get the curb, tried to capitalise with a huge fishtail there. Devon Butler thinks about having a look up the inside, but once again the Renault a little bit late and just not quite really being able to get enough of the car alongside to really try to make it work there. End of lap 10 now, you can see what's that, Verstappen even I should say, and Hamilton now both starting to make a breakaway as we dive in for our one and hopefully only pit stop of this Grand Prix. A little bit early onto a set of the medium compound tyres, but we were starting to struggle just a bit with the tyre wear here. And honestly, this track, if you can keep the tyres in, good temperature window, really they can actually go quite fine. It's not a particularly stressful track on the tyres. Obviously, the rears take a little bit of a pounding, but that's only in the traction zones. A lot of it high speed, the tyres don't really face that much wear here. As you can see, trying to rejoin the track there, we have the Toro Rosso, who's almost took me out as we head down the start-finish straight. That could have been a monstrous pile-up between Kvyat, Albon and myself as we head through the first couple of corners there. Not too sure of what, going side by side there, and perhaps Monza, needs one of those lights like we have at the Monaco Grand Prix, where it tells you if there's a car trying to come out of the pit lane here. But Albon and Kvyat, though, remember the good old days where we used to fight these guys straight at the inside of the pair of them there as we head now down in towards the second chicane there, just a little bit deep on the brakes. They actually dip a wheel in to the gravel trap there. Kvyat thinks about having a look up the inside. Hopefully, we're going to patch as well with Albon, obviously, in the Red Bull car. Not too sure how that'll work out in terms of driver swaps. Perhaps we could just see every next time anyone has a driver swap on F1 2019 career mode, perhaps, Albon does just move to... Well, that wouldn't even work for me, because obviously Gasly is now at Mercedes. I don't know how that was planning on working at the end of the day. But anyway, skipping on to lap 12 now, and you can see Hamilton and Verstappen here have come out just in front of me, so we have actually been able to make a little bit of an undercut on these guys over the last couple of laps here, and now we need to try and capitalise and potentially line up a move on the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton here, round the outside in towards the next chicane here. Who is going to come out on top in this situation? We're going to try and be late on the brakes there. Hamilton keeps the nose up the inside. Side by side we go there, and Hamilton actually bails out in that situation there. Quite surprised by that one. And we now move ourselves back up into P10 of this Grand Prix. Obviously, a few more drivers still yet to make their first and hopefully, obviously, only pit stop of the Grand Prix. Most races on F1 2019, are a fairly simple one-stop here. As now Hamilton back around the outside he goes. There is Devon Butler going to try and follow him through as well. We try to duck back into the slipstream here. Butler's going to have a look up the inside. He's going to go full send there. Hamilton as well gets caught out by that one there. We go back around the outside of Devon Butler through Ascari. You don't often see a move around there. Huge fishtail on the exit of the corner there as well. So now Sergio Perez tries to get himself involved in this battle there. Yeah, that was a pretty scary couple of moments in this Grand Prix, obviously, with the high-speed nature of this circuit. You can get some interesting moments like that in a few more places than normal there. It's now Sergio Perez tries to have a look potentially up the inside as we head down the start-finish straight once again here. We might try and have a look for some slipstream from Lando Norris there. No chance of that. Hamilton plays it defensive in towards Tom on there. A very, very late defensive move from the Mercedes man there as we try to get the switch back on the exit of turn 1 here. Are we going to be able to get any sort of move done as we head in towards Curva Grande? Once again, we think about it, but Hamilton slams the door shut very, very late there from the Mercedes and then opens the door up again. Not too sure what that was all about, but we'll take it, and we'll now move ourselves back up into P5 of this Grand Prix there. Nico Hulkenberg's done a fantastic job on the undercut. Had the pace in qualifying there, but I think grid penalties put him right the way down the field, ready for the start of this Grand Prix. But still, look at the mini-map. The Ferraris, everyone now I think has made their pit stop, and the Ferraris have made such big gains in this Grand Prix. Hamilton though back up the inside in towards Ascari once again here. Are we going to be able to go for a switchback move? Once again there, Hamilton slams the door shut and does get the run on the exit there, and you can just see struggling a little bit with the rear end grip here. We do need to try and stay out ahead of Hamilton in this race. I didn't honestly expect to be fighting a 6-time Formula 1 World Champion as we head into this race. Obviously Hamilton wrapped up the 2019 title in this game at the end of season 1 here. So he is, he is a 6-time Formula 1 World Champion there as we now try to get the run with the DRS down towards the corner. We give him all the space in the WOD there. Just nothing he can do when we've got the DRS there. There's very little you can do in terms of defence anyway when the other car's got the DRS here. But yes, such an advantage in terms of the raw horsepower that this Haas power unit now provides there. The Ferrari power unit with a lot of Haas upgrades on it has really, really given us a big edge in this Grand Prix. And now we need to try and make a bit of a breakaway from Hamilton here. You can see Weber actually now moves himself up into P6 of this Grand Prix, but weirdly enough, opted for a 2-stop. Not too sure why, but I guess we'll take it there as Weber down towards turn 1. Is he going to be able to get any sort of run on myself here? He's certainly going to try and have a look up the inside perhaps there, and yeah, just on those quicker tyres, he's got so much more grip as we head down in towards turn 1 there, and a bit more confidence on the brakes as well there. Not too sure why they've gone for the 2-stop, but fair enough, Renault. You're throwing... I've hyped Renault up so much just a few races ago, and they've really just sort of turned it on its head in a couple of Grand Prix since. Coming out of Germany and Hungary, Renault were the team to beat. Now they're 5th and way further down the order. I can't even see where Devon Butler is in this Grand Prix. Perhaps he's in that little cluster of cars just behind there, and after very few points last time at Spa, obviously, where they had that big piece of contact at the top of Eau Rouge and Rally on lap 1. They've really made me look quite silly so far in this series. But anyway, nonetheless, you can see Weber even there has just absolutely run away from me in just a few corners here. And now we really need to focus once again on Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix just behind us here, because it is absolutely critical that we stay ahead of the Mercedes man in this Grand Prix. I love the full, 10 points even, sorry, I should say, from this race. So can you imagine heading at the summer break with, how many points did we have? 13, to then being able to get 25 in the next 2 Grand Prix. Hopefully, what a turnaround it's been so far in this series, but I'm not looking forward to heading to Singapore next time out. That should probably show off a lot of our car flaws still in this career mode there. End of lap 19, you can see Hamilton gets up the inside through Ascari there and now moves himself up into P5 of this Grand Prix. But we've got the slipstream and we're hopefully going to get the DRS down towards turn 1 once again. I don't think there's going to be much Hamilton can really do in this situation there. It might just be a case of, like the battle we had with Carlos Sainz all the way back at Germany, you know, just sort of one past the other every single lap and then try to defend with just a couple to go there. Hamilton down towards him on the 219 miles an hour. We don't see that very often with how much downforce these new cars provide there, as around the outside we go and get it slowed down nice and tidily in towards the first couple of corners once again here. And over the next couple of laps, it would just be the case of playing the old switcheroo with him. But by lap 23, you can see lap 24, just 4 laps to go now of this Grand Prix. Hamilton, I don't know if he, you know, there was no contact between us. I didn't see him pick up damage, but he really just fell off the pace in the final couple of laps of this Grand Prix. And I was sort of expecting, you know, a dramatic, you know, clickbaity side-by-side over the finish line, everything like that. But Hamilton kind of ruined that for me. This, you know, it's not an hour of career mode. We're not going to get that, unfortunately, at the end of the day there. As we head in towards the final lap of this Grand Prix here, you can see we built up a bit of a margin. Hamilton actually fell off behind Sergio Perez, and I think Devon Butler in this Grand Prix there. Not really too sure why or how, but Mercedes still, reliability has really been a demon for them so far this championship. And while Mercedes now, I think, the 6th best car in Formula 1, it is not looking like it's going to be their year at the end of the day. But talking about it's their day, Charles Leclerc finally takes home his first race victory of the F1 2019 Haas Road to Glory Season 2 there. Sebastian Vettel completes a Ferrari 1-2. I'm sure the Tifosi will be very, very happy with that one. Hulkenberg, another good podium ahead of Verstappen in P4 there. But through the final corner we go. It's going to be 25 points in the last couple of Grand Prix in this series. I cannot believe it. What a turnaround it has been over the last 2 Grand Prix. A 5th and a 3rd place. We cannot go wrong with that as we head in towards the final stages of the World Championship. What a race at the end of the day.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Sebastian Vettel will be very happy with that result as he extends his championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Nico Hulkenberg's clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula 1. Be sure to join us for the next one.
Having a look then at the final race results, you can see, yeah, it was that Ferrari 1-2 for Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel. I'm sure the team are very, very happy with that one. Nico Hulkenberg, definitely driver of the day. 17th to 3rd there, and Sergio Perez went from 15th to 6th, so a really good race by a Racing Point. Verstappen 4th, myself 5th, Sergio Perez in 6th, Butler ahead of Hamilton and Gasly, with Lando Norris picking up a point for Williams there ahead of Bottas, Weber, my teammate Roman Grosjean. Really couldn't capitalise on our strong engine here this weekend ahead of Sainz and Stroll, Giovinazzi and Raikkonen, and Albon and Danny Kvyat there round out of the finishers, with George Russell the only man not to make it through to the end of that Grand Prix. In terms of the Drivers' World Championship, Ferrari now 1-2 at the top of the table there. Charles Leclerc now jumps Hamilton with his first race win of the season there. Devon Butler jumps Pierre Gasly as well, so maybe we've got a battle for best of British as well there. Hamilton and Butler. And then way further down the order, Lando Norris, myself, and George Russell there. As you can see, other swappers though. Devon Butler, like I said, jumps Gasly, and then Hulkenberg actually jumps Lucas Weber as well there. As you can see, just ahead of Perez and the 2 Red Bulls. Lando Norris, like I said, in 11th, myself 12th, and George Russell in P13 there. It would be optimistic to aim for the top 10 by the end of the World Championship, but I certainly think 11th would still not be a bad showing for us at the end of the day there. Ahead of Carlos Sainz and Raikkonen, and still Stroll, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, and both Toro Rossos yet to score in Season 2. Toro Rosso yet to score whatsoever in this series. It has really not been a couple of years to remember for the team there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Get yourself subscribed if you're new around here as well, and you do want to see more F1 2019 Haas Road to Glory career mode on the channel. But that is it for now, and I will hopefully see you guys next time for the Singapore Grand Prix.